Good morning, everybody. Good morning from North Mississippi. Good morning, Miss Carol. I don't know if that other one there is a spam bot. Um, but good morning. I was sitting around and was looking at a few things from the weekend, and I figured I might as well investigate online, and we'll do it together. If anybody watches this later, this is just kind of what it is. It is a online investigation of something. Hope everybody's doing good. Shannon and I will be on tomorrow night for our regular show, but this is just kind of figured I might as well investigate with you guys. I checked the Ingersoll Lockwood site quite a bit because I have found some very interesting things on there. For anybody who's not familiar with it, this is the Ingersoll Lockwood site. It talks about Space Force. There's all kind of things up here to, thank you, Jackie, to look at. Libraries. The Book of Enoch is on here, which if you have not read it, you should read it. I think that is like one of the best things I ever came across and read. It's just amazing. But on Ingersoll Lockwood, there are hidden links that you cannot see. I'm going to zoom this up a little bit. When you click and drag, as you will see right here, there are dots. When you click on those, you will go from a mouse to a hand. When you click on those hidden links, they take you somewhere. And I don't know why. If you've never seen it before, this down here is an actual playlist of music. And it's kind of like, oh, and of course the phone goes to ringing. They're like ragtime songs, kind of, I guess. I don't know, and it might be because I have the page zoomed so far up. Let's see if it'll give me the list so you can see them. Yeah. See, it comes up with a playlist. And each one of these songs is unique. They're not old songs. They're new, whether they're AI or not, I don't know. But if you look at the way I look at these things, is I've kind of watched them as they went along. Yuletide, that's New Year. I mean, we know what that is, so you could kind of mark that as when that song, if this is a calendar, see, I look at this like a calendar. All right, globalist going, going, gone, that would have been referencing the Davos Council and the World's Fair, which is in July, which is to celebrate America's 250 years since 1776. And then Heaven's Light. Well, that would be Rapture. So, evidently, they've got it on the calendar. But as we come down here, you will, if you just take your mouse and go across the line, see, like right there at America, you saw my pointer change from a pointy to a hand. When you click on that, it'll take you to a link. And this one just happens to be the Wikipedia explaining the DEFCON system 1 through 5. Like, all these links take you to different places. Sometimes they change. This one at the end of Pride is a song. These just take you to the actual websites. But see right there in Space Force, you get ET lights up. When I open up ET, we get the 2022 Annual Report of Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. The period in that one lights up and takes you to German disc aircraft. I've been down this site and looked at a lot of stuff on here. And what this does is it will actually explain to you, like right about in this section, that these crafts, okay, Roswell, New Mexico, back in the 40s, there was always this rumor that, you know, they found a UFO or, well, it wasn't a UFO. It was something that, um, the little man with the mustache, we're gonna stick on the lexicon today, the little man with the mustache had built, and that'll take you all the way back to that icy place that nobody's allowed to go. Because one of the major things of his campaign during his war was he was on a goal to get there and build a base, in which he did. It's called New Schwabland 211. You access it through underwater tunnels with submarines. I've been down that rabbit hole pretty far. Not gonna say I've been to the bottom, but I've been pretty far. But like right here, see Secrets of the Third Reich? It tells you all about it. And some of this stuff that has been declassifying lately or has been leaking out basically tells you, where's the picture at? They did have a good picture on here of what the Hanabu craft looks like. Uh, they explain to you there's a new aircraft out there, and Daniel and I have seen it firsthand. This thing is huge. It it looks like a Super Bowl stadium would have a massive shadow over it if this thing pulled up. Looks like a big black triangle. It's called a TRB-3. Now that I've been down that rabbit hole, I understand how that works. And it works off of mercury with two magnetic, I think they're magnetic, um, rings, disc, spinning, kind of like, one of them collider things that we talk about all the time. Yeah. If you take and put red mercury and some other stuff in it, it's actually called Xerum, Xerum, I think is how you spell it. Um, you defy gravity. You defeat gravity. So basically, just think about it kind of like if you were to put a bunch of mercury, red mercury, in a washing machine on spin cycle, your washing machine would start levitating. And that leads me back to another piece of my puzzle, which is one of the pyramids in Tehuacan, Mexico, is built over a lake of mercury. Isn't that interesting? But anyway, sorry guys, something shiny got my attention there. But um, prosecuted right here. Okay, this one is a very interesting considering the files that come out last week. This has been here for a year, and I downloaded it, and it's just so much information at the time. I wasn't quite sure how to go through all of it. But if you're looking right here at the end of all criminal hacking activities will be prosecuted. Criminal, there's some stuff in there that lights up on each one of the letters, but the one at the end of prosecuted is extremely interesting. When you open this in a new tab, you will get a spreadsheet, a very interesting spreadsheet with directions of how to use it. There's multiple pages. There's down at the bottom, there's all these tabs. You can go to case files sealed. You can sort it by what court it's in. Case file sealed, unsealed, percentage. I mean, this stuff just goes on. And like I said, there's a color chart. Let me see if I can. Yep, there's an instructions page with it. No worries. It explains to you how to filter them if you're looking for something and what the coloring means. Well, see, this is where the interesting part comes in. Because if you go to page 1, you see all of this coloring? All that means something. Well, this is going to explain to you how it into your Schmipstein files from the other day. Standardized colors have been implemented across all 3 lister spreadsheets. Entries tagged with 3 colors denote corresponding data and additional info. If it is colored yellow, it means they resigned. If it is labeled pink, it was human trafficking. If it's blue, there was a federal indictment. and the corresponding color of green or red means that 2 out of the 3 happened. If it's, and then there's blue that was be this way. But there's quite a bit of stuff on here to look at. I've never had the time to go down this rabbit hole to all of these cases. Let's click on one of them. Central District of California. Let's see what this one says. See, when you click on it, then you actually get case logs. You get case ID number, who it was, USA versus all these different people, seizure warrants, their name, dates. And see, all this is like January of last year. I think that was about the time I started seeing it last year was January. But every single one of these little blue things will bring you up this new list of whatever they're attached to. And like I said, you can, let's see, you can go through, there's Illinois, Alaska, Arizona, Colorado. See, like right there's DC. Let's see what DC's got. Let's just be nosy. Let's find one with let's look at DC. We nosy like that. Good morning, everybody, for anybody new that's come in. How is everybody out there doing this morning? Did y'all suffer through that horrible ball game last night? Because I didn't even turn my TV on. I refused to have anything to do with it or the TP other halftime. That's just another column of the same people. I'm not supporting any of it, none of their commercials. District of Columbia, we got names here. And yeah, parties involved in it. You can search by those names. Party start date, party end date. I mean, there's all kind of stuff there. That could be a long-term rabbit hole. But if you want to go in that one, it's right there at the end of prosecuted. See, when you come over here to criminal, C, it is the unauthorized biography of George Bush. R, how Bush's grandfather helped the little man with the mustache rise to power. M, Newsom, keeping it all in the family. It gives you all of his family ties to who he's connected to. And yeah, see, look at there. Look at them names. And you wonder how an idiot like that gets into office. And here you go. All you got to do is follow the money. Follow the money. It's all connected to the money, folks. Let's see. N. I don't know what that one is. I don't remember. It's been a minute since I've looked at some of these. We'll flip through them right quick. Oh, this is old Bates. We're not going to play it because they'll innovating to zero TED talk he had where he talked about reducing population. See, there's some interesting stuff on this side. It was crazy. Yeah, I wasn't watching that thing, Jackie. It just I didn't even I felt guilty if anybody even knew I turned in to watch that thing. Like I intentionally didn't participate in any of it because I went back this morning looking at the song lyrics of what old boy was singing, and I'm a 50-year-old woman, and some of that stuff I'm like, really? You said that out loud on national television while you were dressed like a woman? Women alone should be offended that that man got up there dressed like that. Just plain simple. You should just be flat out offended that a man got up there and tried to impersonate one of us. See, that's where I come to the problem with all of this trans thing. It really makes me mad that these men try to be women. Men can't be women and women can't be men. Men can't carry children. Women can't carry couches. That's just the way it works. Men are supposed to be the backbone and the voice and the sovereign foundation in a household and a family. And their absolute point in the beginning is to destroy that. And if you go back and look at all them files that have been dropped, you will find emails in there where old Billy Boy and Jeffy were sitting around talking about how they were trying to alter genetics within the womb to basically make that child gay or trans when they came out. Oh, they go into all kind of details why they like their pizza trans and gay. It's in there. They're sick. We'll get back onto that one in a minute. I got something to say on that one. But anyway, when you get down here at the bottom, I mean, there's a few more links in there. If you take your time and go through them, you'll find them that your mouse will change and they'll light up. This one right here is the rabbit. Oh, go away, little thing. This rabbit right here is normally what changes. I got it zoomed up, so it's going to keep moving. This is the one that normally changes. And this one is a whitehouse.gov page, which takes us to these morons. All of these morons from January 6th. But the most interesting one is this one. And I cannot for the life of me get that stupid thing to go away. That is the actual, looks like the actual coin from the Super Bowl. When you click on it, I'll show you where it takes us in a second, but I'll show you one other thing. This dead space right here, anytime you see a bunch of dead space on these pages on the Ingersoll, it ain't a dead space. Like I said, click and drag, and look at there. This is a link to what is a human adenovirus and could it be bioengineered? That is an excellent read. It is from the Canadian Department of Health, I think it is. And it explains to you how they use this to basically introduce anything else. Yeah, never ever think that a dead space on a website is dead space. Dead space is invaluable. But when you click on that, this will tell you about the inhibition of human adenovirus replication by a nuclear import inhibitor, ivermectin. Well, looky. This actual paper, I'm not a scientist. Now, this is 2020. From what I can tell from reading this basically tells you that this adenovirus is basically what they use to burrow into your DNA, and the only inhibitor is ivermectin. So if you were on ivermectin and you happen to have to go get a sticky pokey, I don't even think the sticky pokey would work because this is an inhibitor. Like I said, not a scientist. Go read it for yourself. Not sure. But that's not the only one. Oh, see, that one actually turns red. But see, this one takes you to a different one, which is the Canadian National Institute of Health. Their National Library of Medicine. Oh, it takes you back to this. But see, you can see down here, it explains to you scientifically what it is. Here's all the imagery, broad spectrum, ivermectin as an antiviral for SARS. I mean, it tells you about all the different things that this is. Not only is that an antiparasitic, it's an antiviral. So even if you think you just contracted a virus, you can use that to treat. But remember, dead space. There's a quote there which says, "In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot." Samuel Longhorn Clemens. And there are links within that name that take you to different things. This takes you to Presidential Action for Enduring Peace. LAN takes you to an X page, a post. Dun, 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 dun. We'll wait on it to load. Gosh, my internet's dragging. Okay. Okay. I don't think I read this one. Oh, yeah. This is the one where 51 former intelligence officials were involved with the 3-letter agency right there, the central one, with this lady, and they all signed on agreeing to, and all the emails are here. This dude here is the one that broke it, I guess. They broke a mandate to never interfere domestically, especially with partisan politics, and this was part of the faked Russian thing dossier. This is what I wanted to show you. This is that new link at the bottom that looks like that football coin. And I think I actually have a blowed up picture of that where I looked at it last night. But this is what the new thing is. This is just sitting down there at the bottom of the page when you click on it. And it's got some serious symbology on it. And I'm going to zoom up, guys, and we'll take it slow as we go down. As you can see, we got a Bitcoin reference here. There's another one over there. The football trophy is here. And we got red and blue. And of course, we got the all-seeing eye and the pyramid. I'm not quite sure what this over here is supposed to be yet. I don't know if that's a tower falling, but it looks like it's on fire to me. Or it honestly, to me, I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, right here, the like jagged lightning bolt and these numbers and the way they're swirling around, this looks like a stock market ticker to me. Are you trying to tell me that the stock market's gonna crash? Because I seen a couple of people last night predicting that we were gonna have a major stock market crash today because the Japanese market was fixing to dump a bunch of stuff. And this little emoji here, he looks like he's all scared because he's falling. And we got this up here. And of course, we see what that is behind it. And there's all kind of symbology all over this. I haven't quite figured out what all these. This right here looks like it. That is either, I don't know if that's XRP or that Ripple coin. It's one or the other. But on this Ingersoll Lockwood, they've been saying forever. This is what see, I try to look at everything. Whether I follow the Q or the Anon stuff, I still look at it. Know thine enemy. Know what they putting out there. And when I look at all of their stuff, it tells you that they want to do away with the Federal Reserve. We would have a U.S. Treasury Department. There would be no big commercial banks anymore. There won't be a Bank of America or Wachovia or any of those. You will have state credit unions only. Those state credit unions would loan money at a 3% flat rate. That 3% flat rate of interest that's earned would go to the state to then take care of your state taxes. So there would be no more state taxes. Good morning, Kent. There would be no more property taxes. That's what they're saying. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've seen on here and what it seems their plan is. And see, there's bunches of footballs being thrown around in here. This up here on the right-hand side that's kind of swooping around looks like maybe a clock. But see, then you got the gold and silver shield, gold bars, silver coins, and it says credit union, safe and secure. Safer than banks. But the California flag's on fire. That's just the oddest little thing you've seen down here is the California flag is on fire. But over here in the right-hand side, looks like a QR code. It doesn't scan. I've tried it. I've selected it. I can't get it to do anything. So if any of y'all want to kind of look at that and decode it and hit me back up with what you see, because I'm sure there's a lot of things in there I'm missing that I haven't seen. But yeah, there's a lot of things in those files that have come out, and I have kind of been trying to track the dissemination and disclosure of information, because all of a sudden, for those of us who have been doing this for a while, have been awake for a while, all of a sudden the information we were seeking seemed to start flowing a lot easier to us. We weren't so limited or blocked on what we were seeing, and we weren't being doxxed so much if we actually said it out loud. And I wondered why. Well, I went back and there was this strange dinner that I saw, and I can't remember where T was going before this dinner, but he was leaving to go somewhere out of country. But right before he did, all of a sudden, all of the people in charge of Facebook, you know, X, all of the tech guys over social media and information sites had this little quiet sit down dinner with tea. And this was back last year sometime. So did he tell him to let it out? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to be objective, but everything I'm seeing, something happened, because we're not being doxxed for saying the words out loud anymore. It's almost like we've almost got freedom of speech again, which is a little strange when we've been having to talk in riddles for years now. Just kind of makes you curious when you go from talking in riddles to having a normal conversation. Some interesting stuff over here in the library if you've never seen it before. How are you this morning, Kent? How's the weather? Down here in the reading library, there's access to all of Ingersoll Lockwood's books. Supposedly, Ingersoll Lockwood was a writer, I think from the 1800s, maybe 1800s. I had to pull up that notepad. But his books are all about Baron Trump and Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey. And everything on Ingersoll Lockwood leads to the Project Looking Glass, where they supposedly can see time. I don't know, from the Project Looking Glass research I did, it appears from what I can see that they can see the future. I don't necessarily know that they could interact with it, but they could see it. And then that takes you back to the quantum physics thing of time is not linear. It's a lot. Yeah, I'm so glad. See, Kent, that's kind of funny because the misspelling of Roxy, the Rocky, my dad's name was Roscoe. I was called Little Rock. And then once they actually, I guess when I was like 12 or 13 years, they actually had to like, oh, she's a girl because I was a little grease monkey. Started calling me Roxy instead of Little Rock. My brother is Rocky. We were daddy's children. We were in his back pocket. But anyway, sorry, down here at the bottom of the library, there are some links to the Non-Toxic Farming Handbook, Regenerative Growers, Victory Gardens for Bees, and Heirloom Farming. All about carbon negative regenerative farming. And here is a free link to a complete PDF of Enoch. If you don't have it, you don't have to buy it. It's right here. When you click on it, it'll take you. It is worth the read. And if you haven't read it or browsed through it, it's fantastic. The Plus site, and I think that takes you to some videos. Yeah. There's a Sylvester Stallone Angel Studio. Buy Dirt by George and Weary Traveler. But a lot of the things I've tried to look at when you're going through all these different posts and all the different things you see, and some people say, oh, that's this and oh, that's that. Well, I can tell you what I found from the Schmepstein files. If you hang on, let me find it. For any of you who have not gone over there and looked at it, you can actually just search up Epstein Library. You have to confirm you're not a robot. Then you probably have to confirm you're 18. Yeah, because there's some really sick, twisted references in this stuff. But you have the opportunity to search the full Epstein Library. Let's just say that we want to put in one word in here. Sorry, guys. I got strangled there. We're going to put in the word pizza because we know they like the word pizza. When you put in the word pizza, it will bring up any document that has that word in it. Now, just like somebody's name, let's just say we're going to put T's name in here. There are going to be documents that come up. There's 4,732. That doesn't mean that this is a communication between him and anybody else. It just means it might have been from him or to him, or he might have just been referenced in it, or a news article about him, things of that nature. All right, see, like this one. Let's go see what this one says. This is from Terry Kafka to Philip Kafka. R.E. Gingrich view of Trump. Exactly, Bernie, like a Mark Twain or Lafayette teacher from Brooklyn back in the 60s. I love old Bernie. Wish he wasn't a socialist. He probably reminds you of your social studies teacher from Lafayette. And like, they're just, at some point in here, they're referencing Trump. Right here, I've actually been able to pull people away from Hillary by saying only vote for Trump or Sanders, citing that everyone else is establishment. They go on. But one of the things I had searched in here was QAnon and QAnon. There's some emails that tell you in here that old Jeffy Boy and his buddies were concerned about the truth that the Q post and the Anon post were exposing them. So they actually created a psyop called QAnon to counteract the Q and Anon post. So they made a QAnon, which was their disinformation. Everything's a psyop. We all know it's a psyop. We don't know who's a shill anymore. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. When you have to question every single human being you come in contact with and what their true agenda is. You don't know anymore. Because, and I noticed last night, and Shannon and I talked about this the other day, last night right after the Super Bowl, I got a notice that the White House had a thing put up. See, it's live now. J.D. Vance is talking, and I don't want to hear him. There's just something about that man I don't trust. I trust him less than I trust OT, and that should say something. I don't know. His whole hillbilly story, he's changed his name several times. Anyway, last night, this thing right here said that President Trump gaggles with press. You know, it has the blue screen like this that comes up. The thing says he gaggles with press on his way to Andrews Air Force Base or Andrews Joint, whatever. Well, when Shannon and I were looking up the other day at this Truman Town, which is Springfield, Ohio, which just happens to be where John Legend, the husband of Chrissy Teigen, the one who posted all over X about how much she loves toddlers and, you know, all those sick things. But Springfield, Ohio is a Truman Town because of the quantity of famous people that come out of it notable, whether it be religion, politics, sports, they're controlled. So Shannon and I have been piecing this puzzle together that we think some of these children that are possibly selected out of some of these gate programs are snatched up, kidnapped, MK'd, split them, make them new kids, hand them to new parents, put them in a little town, make them think they were born and raised there, living in the Truman Show, and turn them into controlled opposition. Just like these people who they're blaming for being shooters at particular things. Good morning, Daniel. Daniel's in the house, y'all. Woo woo. But if you, I've seen a lot of people online talking about where are the arrests, when are they going to do something. You have to think, and I'm not taking up for them. I'm just trying to see the bigger part of the plan. I'm not taking up for anybody or their speed of doing things. But just like we've always heard in, you cut the head off a snake and two comes back in old wives' tales and fairy tales and things of that nature. So you can't just cut the head off of the snake. You have to go to the nest and you got to take the eggs out. That way there's no more. So you can't start from the top. You've got to start from the bottom. And as we all know on that fateful day when those two things fell up there in New York City, you got to blow it up from the bottom. You got to take the roots out to drop it. So I think there's been a whole lot of root excavating that's been going on, and we didn't even realize it was going on. I think this has been a much longer operation, and I think the dropping of the files was to cause enough public outrage so that, thank you, when people see it, they're outraged enough. But this is where I'm started with this. I'm sorry. Jeffrey Schmepstein was just a mule. He was just a middleman, guys. He is not the one that owned those foundations that funded him. He's not the one that's leading a government that claims to be a country that was paying him. He's not one of those 13 that were paying him. They just made him extremely wealthy for his sick habits. He was a front man. So we as average everyday citizens don't feel like we have any control over the prosecution of these people that have done these things to our children. But if you want to look closer, we need to bring this down a level. We're concerned about these rich billionaires. We don't have the control or the means to prosecute or do anything about that. Hey, Clayton, what we have to do is you need to look locally. I I gave this scenario, and this is all this is a scenario. But we're gonna say that Mary, she's a high school kid. She's on the track team, or well, we're gonna say she's 10-year-old. She's out riding her bicycle. Little Mary. She's out riding her bicycle in the neighborhood. Well, all of a sudden Mary goes missing and there's her bicycle. Nobody knows where Mary went. Well, now from these files, we now know, and Shannon and I did a show on this a few months ago about these the companies that come around to the schools and take the picture of your child. Those were controlled by him too, right? Yeah. Those companies that took pictures of your children at school are related to Jeffrey and his cronies. They made a catalog of our children. There are documents in their spreadsheets that show you state, county, city, zip code of how many children they had targeted in that area. And they targeted children at different areas to make it look random. And let me tell you how to get these people to do this. This is my part of the puzzle that I've been trying to put together. Because when Mary goes missing, Mary's thrown in the back of, the white van, the kidnapper van, as kids call them. My grandbaby, she see a white van in the parking lot, she was like, "Mm-mm, don't park over there, Nanny. Mm-mm." She's not going near them vans. None of them. She don't trust them. But I told her, I said, "You can't look for just that van." Anyway, well, they've snatched little Mary up. Well, they go to the designated meeting point, which normally is a house in a subdivision. Yes, it is. It is a house in a subdivision. Pay attention, folks. Look around you. Look at where you live. I just learned the other day that normally within 5 miles of where you are at, there is a child in a dog cage somewhere. That's how prevalent this is. But anyway, they've transported Mary to the little house. Well, when the anesthesiologist gets off his job at the hospital for the day, he comes by and he doses up all these little kids that they stole because, he's part of the club and they probably got blackmail on him. But he's come by and dosed them. They put him in the back of a box truck, which says, Joe Bob's Junk Service. And Joe Bob's Junk Service heads for the next border, the next handoff, the next transportation. When you are stopping at gas stations on the interstate, look at the signs. Symbology is everything. Look for their signs. What this tells you at a gas station on the interstate, if you see this signage, especially the little squiggly line triangle, the Pizzagate one, that lets you know you're in a free to traffic area. The cameras ain't working. We delete them every day. We don't see nothing. We don't know nothing. We're in your network. That's a good old boy handshake up there on the sign. Another way they recruit people is you got these locals, your neighbor, whoever, down the road, somebody you went to high school with, they get locked up for dissemination of pornographic material of a child, something of that nature. They get out of jail, they're on bond. The next thing you know, they go back to court and they get a smack on the hand and off they go. Go look at the judge that smacked them on the hand. The reason they got the smack on the hand is because more than likely somebody in that system, the prosecutor or the judge, they're in on the network. And we'll give you a slap on the hand if you'll help us. This is how their system works. This is how your next door neighbor becomes part of this network. And you don't even know it. Just go look at the ones in your area who got popped with them charges, and the punishment seems extremely light. Or either the case took 5 or 6 years to come to court. And then when it did, by that time, public outrage was gone and it was a slap on the hand and moved right along. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. If you have children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews or whatever, be careful with the relationships you allow them to form with other adults. I don't care if you've known that adult since you were toddlers. You're not inside that person's mind. You don't know what they're thinking or how messed up they are or what kind of weird thoughts they might be having. You never know. I'm telling you, I knew somebody and I would have never made that assumption. But now everything in me tells me that, yeah, they did that. And you don't see it to begin with because we go, all right, I'm going to take this back to Jesus. In the Bible, it tells you that if you want to prosper, that you need to leave your hometown. When you become an adult, that you should leave your hometown to go prosper elsewhere. Because people that don't know you will more than likely give you a chance where people that know you from your past won't. Because people you grew up with and lived with, they know your transgressions as a teenager or a young adult. Those are some of the stupidest years of our lives. I can tell you they were some of mine. Daniel will confirm that for you. I did some stupid stuff back in my teenage years. I was 16 years old and was so drunk, didn't even know where I was at, driving a car, running 100 miles an hour when I ran off the road and nearly killed me and 2 other girls. Stupid. But when you become an adult, if you leave your home and go out to start your career or whatever you're going to do, start your life, those people are going to be more likely to give you a fair chance than someone who knows you. or knows where you came from because they're automatically judging you by that. So leaving home means less judgment. And that's the thing about somebody you've grown up with your whole life. Well, I've known them since I was 10 years old. I would never think that. Really. But when is the last time you spent time with that person? Just because you knew him when you was in middle school don't mean you know him now. Just because I knew somebody from 5 years ago doesn't mean that's the same person now. We should all be growing and changing. Not everybody does, but that's what you're supposed to strive for. The Bible tells you to have the curiosity and innocence of a child. A child is a sponge. They are forever seeking knowledge. It doesn't matter whether it's how to change the tire on my bicycle or how to put a worm on a fishing hook. They need to know because they don't know. So they have a thirst for knowledge. That's part of this awakening process, your thirst for knowledge. Clayton and I had a long conversation the other night about how the absolute consuming factor is of awakening. That Daniel, did you get to see the thing down here? Oh, I don't know if Daniel got to see it a while ago or not. I'll pull it back up. But the absolute thirst for knowledge of everything, the truth, like the absolute unquenchable thirst of seeking truth. It doesn't matter whether it's about the Bible or about history or about anything. You have to know. You've got to get to the bottom. It is an itch in your brain that you cannot scratch. And it almost drives some of us mad some days. I get up at 6 a.m. every morning, get my grandbabies on the school bus. I come back in here and I cut this computer on and I go at it. I am surrounded by legal pads. Sometimes I have to make myself get up and walk away. Well, it tried to kick me off there all of a sudden, but it must not like what I had to say. But the absolute thirst for the truth is part of the awakening. Don't let it drive you crazy. You have to find a way to organize your thoughts, organize your research, and have a good support community around you. Many of us feel isolated. Like there are days at a time, days after days that I don't leave home. Daniel doesn't leave home. Like we ain't going out and spending no money unless we got to. Like absolutely got to. Because I just don't want to participate any more than I have to in this materialistic system. It's a consumer system. It was built that way to keep you broke. You're still a slave. They just moved you off the plantation and gave you a nice ranch house that you gotta pay them. Like, that is not the way the Bible lays it out, that it was intended for us to be enslaved to someone else for the rest of our life. And when you start looking at the etymology of words, Shannon and I had this conversation last night. I told her, I said, "Girl, we're gonna have to figure out how to be telepathic because the more we look at the etymology of words and what words actually mean and how they've twisted them on us, we don't even want to speak out loud anymore." I believe in the beginning that possibly telepathy was the form of communication, and then once a lie come in, see, Clayton and I had this conversation the other night that if Clayton, do not get in trouble listening to me with your hazmat suit on. You're killing me, Clayton. Just call me tonight, buddy. We'll have a long conversation. I love my phone calls with Clayton. Clayton blows my mind with some of the science stuff he comes up with. But yeah, half of your life to have shelter. And the it's a slave system. It was built that way for a purpose. And just like you see in that thing right there on the screen, right there, they're watching you. Everywhere you go, everything you do. Daniel, I believe this right here is predicting some kind of stock market fall. I don't know about you, and I don't know what the 126K means, but it's got something to do with Bitcoin. See, this cryptocurrency was one of the ways that Jeffrey and his cronies were moving money around. But it's actually a new link down there, Daniel. It's a football coin at the bottom. I just thought that was, and oh, where's it at? There's a QR code right down there on the bottom right hand corner, but I can't get it to scan or go anywhere. But yeah, the majority of our life is spent on rent and electricity, which should be free because it's in the air all around you. Food, which you should be able to grow for your own, but Lord forbid you don't get a permit from the county. Like, they have constructed absolutely everything in the world to take every dime of money you got. And if you don't think so, Jeffrey hit the Powerball twice. Here's another one. You know, Daniel, I haven't even told you about this one yet. This one will make you happy. In looking at who has actually won the Powerball lottery, two companies that we can confirm associated with old Epstein won the Powerball twice. But you know that little place up there that I'm trying to figure out how to say this in the lexicon without kicking it. Sandy beaches and fish hooks. There were some heroes that were involved in that situation. Go look at how many of those heroes have hit the lottery. Just go look at it. Not only was all of their property and real estate paid off, they've hit the lottery multiple times, multiple lotteries. I have been screaming for years that the lottery was nothing but a funnel for dark money. Mm-hmm. I can't bring the receipts to prove it, but I can put you on the paper trail that'll surely give you that idea. L53, what is that? I don't know what we're looking at here. Well, what is L? No, that wasn't the Super Bowl. No, V is 5, L is 10. So what is that? 10, 15. All right, that would be 55, 56, 57, 58. That would be 58 because L is 50, V is 5, and the ones are singles. So 55, 6, 7, 8. Oh, sorry. I thought y'all could see. I forgot I weren't screen sharing no more. Yeah, that was Super Bowl 60. But the Super Bowl number on this image is 58. See, I hadn't even looked at that. See, that's why I wanted y'all to look at it, because I'm probably not seeing some of the stuff in this thing. Because you got to like zoom in to see some of the details of it. See, I take this like lightning bolt right here as stock market crash. That's what it looks like to me. And last night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I was reading an article, perusing through it while I was on the phone, that Japan's going to dump today. And when you go to, hang on, let's see. What is that thing we look at, Daniel? National Debt Clock app. We've looked at this before. This is that running debt clock. But this secret window up here at the top right, amazing abundance, the world to come. This is constantly changing now. But when you click on it, it actually downloads a PDF. I don't know what coin that is. But it tells you about the new money revolution, the U.S. Treasury, dividend dollar, golden age. And it tells you it's just table of contents. It tells you all about how money was the tally stick, 1834. Go look down. Very, very unique things happening around then. That's creating all kind of chaos. Another little short man. Go figure. Napoleon. And tells you about debt is money, how our country was started, the silver swindle. It goes on, and it tells you that will work for, and then it says prefer gold or silver. And it says time's up. The Fed banking cartel has expired. And it tells you about Jesus flipping the tables in the temple. I mean, all of this is in here, and all of it means something. Daniel and I have been through it a couple of times on the show. And it just that they're going to do away with all major banks, and there will be credit unions, which will loan money at 3%. 3% gets turned back around to the state. There'll be no state or property tax. And it talks about liberty versus tyranny. I don't see any of this happening without digital ID. And if you guys don't understand anything about the flock system that they have, I have a little more information on the inside of that than most people do because of a family member's occupation. And I just overhear a conversation. And there was a situation. See, everything means something. See, this right here is new at the very end of it. So see, now I got to, now I'm had to pull that up and go find that piece of art and see what it was referencing to. Everything means, and these people are all about symbols. But good morning, Miss Kay. Glad to see you. The flock system in these smart cities. Like, okay, there was a call that happened the other night. My daughter was on duty, and there was a lady who was reported missing by her family. And one of the first things they do was they looked up what kind of car she drove, confirmed what kind of car she left in, and then they checked the flock system. They went to all the cameras in the surrounding areas and seen if they saw her car leave that area. Had it been tagged or tracked on any of their camera systems to see if she left the area. Unfortunately, she did not. She had decided she had had enough here and drove right down the road and took her a permanent nap. Rest her soul. I hope she went where she wanted to go. I pray for the family. But anyway, there is nowhere in this world you're not tracked. There is nowhere in this world that, unless you just leave every electronic behind and go get in the woods somewhere, they could still track you there if they were looking for you hard enough. But as many people as there are in this world, it's still hard to get lost. And these phones are the main proprietor because there is something in there, if you got a newer phone, that probably is signed in to an account that has some type of GPS or facial recognition on it. Everything does. Everything does. Just be careful. But this was just a Monday morning chit chat. I think Daniel has a show later this afternoon. This is part of what I'm digging into today. And I'm also digging into mirrors from the 1800s, 1700s. They were made with mercury. Did you know that in hundreds it's even written about in books that before dust dark, even in these huge, ginormous mansions. But just dark, every mirror in their house had to be covered with a dark fabric along the lines of velvet or brocade, like every mirror. It was a whole family thing. Like everybody stopped what they were doing right before dusk and went and covered all the mirrors because they said you could see things in those mirrors that you couldn't see in real life. And this isn't like we're talking about 1700s. So these people were like writing this down and they were writing letters, back and forth to family members back then. And yeah, but those mirrors were made with mercury. And we just talked about what mercury can do in a washing machine. And there's pyramids sitting over it. And we were always told that red mercury was a myth. But now, come to find out, you use that to defy gravity. Imagine that. Something else I didn't tell you about. We can write books on it, can't we, guys? All right, guys. This was just a Monday morning catch up. I think Daniel's having a show later on this afternoon. If he is, I'll probably be on there. That'll be about 2:30, 3:00, somewhere in that ballpark. I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday. Remember, your goal for today, share some love, share a smile, share some kindness, share some compassion. And if you get lucky enough, share Jesus with somebody because it can change their life because it sure changed mine back in the day. And I'd like to thank the people that brought me back to God because it has definitely changed my life for the better. It gets better every day, calmer, quieter, healthier, happier, and more peaceful. Good morning, Aunt Kim. That even on your rough days, that just go to prayer. When you feel like you have just done all you can do, give it to prayer. Just take a minute and it's going to be okay. And if you need somebody that and you don't have somebody, go to our message boards. There are always people on our YouTube message on mine. There are always people that are there and I'm there. So if you're having one of those moments, reach out, text me on there. That's what we're here for. We're a community. We're a family of like-minded supporters. We don't have to agree on everything because you may see something I don't see or I may be seeing it wrong. But that's one of the reasons I come to you guys with investigations to see what you see that maybe I'm not seeing because we're a family and we have conversations, not confrontations. So remember, smile at a stranger, hug somebody you love, and maybe you'll get lucky enough today to bring somebody to Jesus. Have a good Monday. See you later on this afternoon, guys. Bye.